Okay, so yesterday we talked about some vocabulary. All right, first thing, what does evaluate mean? Do you remember? To do, to solve it. When we talk about algebra, when we evaluate, we're actually plugging in numbers, okay? Years ago, there was a commercial for Glade plug-ins. Do you all know what Glade plug-ins are?
No.
Like the little smelly things that you plug in the wall and it makes your house smell good? Okay. So the commercial was plug it in, and they would sing that. Plug it in, plug it in. That's what we're doing, okay, when we are evaluating expressions. Now, remember, expressions, do I see any equal signs? Not right here, but right here in my expressions. Are there any equal signs? No. So we are just talking about an expression. It's not balanced with anything, okay? But it does tell me what do we call these? Do you remember from yesterday? Vocab? Usually a letter representing variable. Excellent. So right now, it has told me that my variables are words. M is equal to 6 and N is equal to 12. So our job is to plug it in. Guys, it is super important. Right up here, I want you to know this. You have to show every step. You have to show every step. That's not just Miss Willis saying it. That's not just your 6th grade math teachers making you do more work. As you continue in math, you will still have to show all of your steps, especially with algebra. Okay? So, again, like the commercial said, we're going to plug these numbers in. So if I know M is equal to 6, what am I going to put where this M is? 6, and I know N is equal to 12. So what is 6 plus 12?
18.
We have evaluated this expression knowing these values. Okay? So if I look at the same thing, N is equal to 12. And M is equal to 6. So 12 divided by 6 would be 2. Now, here's another thing we need to know, and this is very important, okay? Draw yourself a little arrow, because this is going to be your example, okay? This means to multiply. Anytime I have a number right next to a variable, that means to multiply. I have 3n. That means I have 3 times whatever n is. It doesn't mean to put n in there and make that 312. It means to make this 3 times 12. Okay? Here's another word I want to give you for today. And we can come over here to the side. If we have 3n, okay, n is called our what? Variable. So the number right next to a variable, this is a fancy word, it's called coefficient. Think about what the word co means. If you have a co-worker, if you have a, what's another word? It's like your partner, okay? If you're cooperating with somebody, yeah. So that prefix co means to be with. So that coefficient is always with a variable. And remember this, I want you to put the number first. Okay? So whenever we write a coefficient, I want the number first. So we're not going to write n3, we're going to write 3n. And it means to do what?
It sounds more sense.
Multiply.
And it sounds more sense.
Yeah, it does make more sense. Yeah. Okay, so if we're going to plug this in, does anybody remember yesterday? So we've used an X for multiplication. We've even used, did we talk about the dot? Okay. What's another thing that can show multiplication?
Wait, no.
What? Well, the coefficient, yeah. But another way we could write it, if I'm going to plug this number in, instead of putting 3x, as in times 12, because what does that multiplication sign look like? An X, which is a variable, okay? So I can also write it like this, 3 times 12. Those parentheses show multiplication. So anytime you have a number outside of parentheses, it means to multiply by whatever on the inside. Okay? So if we have 3 times 12, that gives us 36 plus 8. So what would our expression be worth?
That'd be 42.
40, try it again, 4. Okay? So you see how I plugged that in? That sounded funny. See how I plugged the in, or plugged 12 in for the in, and it was multiplication. Okay? Alright, let's try a couple others. This time it's saying A is equal to 9, B is equal to 3, and C is equal to 12. Alright, so I'm going to plug my numbers in. So this would be 3 to the second power plus 4, there's that dot again, times 6. So looking at this and thinking order of operations, what am I going to do first? I'm going to do my exponent. And I love how you said it was 3 times 3. Yes, and not 3 times 2. So 9 plus, can I multiply? Yes. Okay, what's 4 times 6? 24. And then 9 plus 24? 33. Yes.
Why didn't you do 3 times 2?
Because remember, this is an exponent. So it doesn't mean 3 times 2. It means 3 times 3. This is the number of times I'm multiplying that number by itself. Okay? Alright, let's try this one. So we've got B. Again, that's 3 to the second power. Plus, what does 5A mean?
That times
5 times
9.
9. Okay? Minus 20. Alright, so again, order of operations, what am I going to do first? Exponents, okay. 9. Then can I multiply?
9 plus 45.
45, okay. Minus 20. Now, add, subtract, left to right.
Add
What is 9 plus 45? 54. Then I can subtract 20, and I get what?
24.
34. Yes.
Mine is why did it go down to 45?
5 times 9. Remember, those parentheses mean to multiply.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay? Let's look at the third one. So we have AC. Oh, now I have 2 variables next to each other. What does that mean? It's still multiplying. Yeah, it's still multiplying. Okay? So we've got this time 9 times, let's see, 12. Okay, then we've got divided by, this is in parentheses, 2 times B. What's B? 3? Okay. So, I've got multiplication, division, multiplication.
I get this.
Now, what do I do first? Multiply over here. Actually, let's take a step back. What am I going to do very first?
2 times 3.
Ah, because it's in parentheses. Very good. So 9 times 12 divided by, what is 2 times 3? Alright, so now we've got to do our 9 times 12, which is 108. Then divided by 6. Well, let's think about this. We can work through it together. How many times will 6 go into 10? 1 time. I have 4 left over, so that becomes 48. So 6 going to 48 8 times. Just think and ask yourself, 6 will go into 10. This is how I would divide. 1 time, I have 4 left over. That 4 goes with the 8, and that would go 8 times. So it would be 48. Alright, let's do a couple. Here we go. A Gentoo penguin can swim at a rate of 17 miles per hour. How many miles can a penguin swim in 4 hours? So we're going to use the expression RT, where R represents the rate and T represents the time. RT, those two together, what kind of expression? What would I be solving there? Multiplication. Very good. So, if I'm going to have R times T, why would I make my T look like that?
Because
That's beautiful.
Because you don't look like it.
I don't really want it to look like an addition sign. Exactly. And you will find when you have opportunities to choose a variable, there's some letters you might want to steer clear of. A lowercase t might be one of them. What about an L?
Oh, yeah.
That might look like what?
A bracket.
It might look like a 1.
An I.
An I. Well, lowercase I might be okay because, yeah, it has a dot. But there's some like X, T, S. Why would S? You need to be careful because it might look like a 5. If you don't think about it, an S, if I write a lowercase s, if I don't do it carefully, and the way some of you form your numbers, it might look like a 5. Yeah. V should be okay.
A Z.
Yeah, Z might look like a 2. Alright, so let's look at this. So we've got rate times time. What is our rate? Here it tells us rate of 17 miles per hour. Okay? So we've got 17, and the time is 4 hours. So what is 17 times 4? I'll give you a second.
88.
Try it again. Say it again.
68.
68 what?
68
Miles. Very good. Okay? So they would go 68 miles in 4 hours. Make sure on word problems like this, guys, that you are labeling it. Because I need to know that it's not 68 penguins. I need to know it's not 68 jelly beans. I need to know we're talking about 68 miles. Yes? Yeah. But no, I'm not going to make you write it this moment. But usually, yeah, answer all word problems in a sentence. All right, let's talk about the next one. A clothing company charges $6 to make a pattern for an order of T-shirts and $11 for each T-shirt it produces from the pattern. The expression 11N plus 6 represents the cost of N T-shirts. So N is our variable because we don't know how many T-shirts, right? With the same pattern. Find the total cost for 5 T-shirts with the same pattern. So our expression is 11N plus 6. So it says find the cost for 5 T-shirts. So N is going to equal what for us? 12. Not 12. Look. How many T-shirts? 5. So we've got to plug in 5 for N. So 11 times 5 plus 6. Okay. Why would I do the addition first? Think about order of operations. We got to do 11 times 5 first. Very good. Which is 55 plus 6. 61. So 61 is our total cost, right? So $61. Okay? So, any questions so far on today? The biggest thing today I want you to learn is how to evaluate expressions, and we do that by plugging in numbers for our what? Variables. Exactly.